It makes me feel so much more at ease knowing the Caledon Haven is so nearby.
Although, whenever a group of Norns stop by for the night, their revelry does tend to keep me awake.
Especially their singing. And their songs can sometimes get quite bawdy.
I say the next time their merriment gets to be too raucous, we should march straight away to the Haven and ask them to keep it down.
And then as long as we've made the journey, perhaps we could join in.
Look out, sir. There's a char nearby.
Don't worry, Sprout. Char may look tough, but it's an act. All roar, no claws.
But they're monsters. They'll eat me, won't they? Do they eat vegetables?
Meat, vegetables, fruit, catnip. But I don't think they'd eat you. What? Did you fall off the tree yesterday?
Certainly not, sir. I fell off the tree 5 days ago. I fell off a turnip cart yesterday.
What is it?
The Durmand Priory is a bastion of history, containing the collected wisdom of the ages. For 200 years, we've stood upon a foundation of lore, research, and exploration. Durmand, our founder, said it best. Your power is only equal to the sum of your knowledge. If that's true, then we're Tyria's best hope to survive the darkness gathering on the horizon. Welcome to the Durmand Priory.
I'm a Magister of the Order, but we don't need to use titles. Just call me Siren.
Happy to meet you.
What if this tomb doesn't even exist? What if it's just a legend?
Oh, Keck, stop being a spoilsport. If I ignore this, those skulky dredge might find the tomb first.
It's beautiful. But I'll admit, I don't know much about dwarves. What's so interesting about this tomb?
Keck's old scroll said this was the tomb of a Dwarven prince. It might have... Uh-oh. Look at those dig marks.
That talking tree's gone crazy. Get it off me. I'll tell you anything. Just let me go.
Destroy what? Another relic? One like these?
Junk. No. It was a sword. We sent it to the southern ruins, hoping to find some way to destroy it.
They took the Sanguinary Blade. It's a legendary sword made of frozen blood. The weapon was lost when the Stone Summit Dwarves vanished.
Protect the dragon's blood sword. Feel the cut of this sacred blade, brother. May Jormag's strength fill you. Destroy them. I will escape with the blade. I feel incredible strength coursing through my veins. Praise Jormag!
I guess the Sanguinary Blade really is made of dragon's blood.
What about the sword's original scabbard? The dwarves must have made it strong enough to contain the blade.
Isn't it amazing? Hundreds of years ago, this was a proud Stone Summit fortress. They were a group of xenophobic dwarves. Cruel, brutal, and unyielding. They're the ones that enslaved the dredge. Well, mostly. Now look at it. Everything it stood for, both good and bad, has been washed away by time. I'm continually amazed at Tyria's resilience. The Stone Summit kept their most valued artifacts here. The Priory retrieved quite a bit, until those nasty pirates moved into the area.
You think the scabbard's still down there?
I'm sure of it, novice. The question is, how do we convince the pirates to let us poke around?
retrieved the scabbard. Now, how do we find the Sanguinary Blade?
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot to tell you about that part. Oops. The Arcanists back at the Priory used a scrying spell to track Stieg. They told me that he's hiding near Black Baal's mill.
The dragon blesses Stieg for his faithful service. He will lead us to victory. I was not worthy of Jormag's sword.
Even if we find a way to save the world from the dragons, I sometimes wonder if we'll ever find a way to save us from ourselves. I really like you. You're willing to try new things, and you've got a good head on your shoulders.
Thanks, Siren. I have to admit, this has been a lot of fun.
Cherry, come on, let's get the sword back to Gix. After that, we'll work on saving the world.
They warned me when I was first posted here that the swamp was full of nasty things. But the nightmare crawled, high leg, and summoned husks were overwhelming.
Then again, the swamp air is great for the complexion.
Strangely, they didn't warn me that you were so cheerful.
Alright, welcome guys, we're back. Caraflower returns with her adventures. Oh god, I waved twice there. Caraflower returns with her adventures, and she has been on a great many, as you've seen there. Now hard and fast friends with Siren. We continue through helping the Priory out after the recovery of Jormag's blood sword, the Sanguinary Blade. And they even seem to hint a little bit at the fact that we may have just stopped preemptively an attack on Lion's Arch that no one really knows about. So, let's get in, let's tell Gix about it, and let's see what we've got coming up.
I'd like you to continue your partnership with Siren. Perhaps you can keep this deciduous do-gooder out of trouble.
Thank you, Steward Gix. I'd be happy to collaborate with Siren. We work well together.
Poor Gix. You're just jealous that you're stuck in here being leadery and responsible while we're having all the fun.
Yes, yes. I'm sure that's exactly what it is. Be that as it may, I must rely on you two for another project. Your next endeavor is a research assignment involving one of the lesser races of Tyria. Do try not to teach them bad habits, Siren. Explorer, get a briefing from Siren, and choose which species you'd like to study. Now, go.
I think the way that Gix offhandedly says, yes, yes, I'm sure that's what it is got to be one of my favorite lines from him. He's so dismissive. He actually doesn't care what she says or thinks. It's so funny. Right, so, which of the races would we like to help study? Now, Casey, of course, as a member of the Durmand Priory, was given several options, but they were different to Caraflower, who is of the Sylvari and has a different affinity. So, what would Caraflower like to study the most? Well, the Hylek she's seen a few of, but not really many. If we'd done a different one of the early story steps as Sylvari, we might have known a lot more about them, but I don't think Caraflower really knows anything about them. The Quaggan, she's not really spoken to any, if any of them. I don't really think she cares much. However, the Skrit she's interacted a few with. She was on the borders of Skritsburg for a while. And the Skrit, in a weird way, with their hive-mindy thing, I think are actually quite similar to the Sylvari, no? In that they've got this thing where the more of them there are, the more they gather information together. I don't know. I think Caraflower, as a scholar of the Sylvari and, you know, a steward of the dream, would probably be quite interested in the Skrit. So how about we do that, Siren? And I'm sure Siren would be pleased to go as well. The Skrit are a race of rodent scavengers, good-hearted but light-fingered, if you know what I mean. Well, I choose to study them. I love how when you're a member of the Priory, the lesser race you pick, you're choosing to study them. So yeah, alright, cool. We get some cool rewards and things. Now, Caraflower, on her immense journeys throughout the mountains, has actually upgraded quite a lot of her gear. So you can see now we are in the final form of Sylvari armor here. We've also changed our weapons. So these are the Durmand Priory weapons. We have our dagger and our warhorn. And then on the other set, we have dagger and another dagger. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how those work a little bit. But yeah, this Sylvari gear, this actually is kind of Nightmare Court-y looking gear. Just because we're wearing it doesn't mean Caraflower has now become a Nightmare Court. But the devs do let you look a little bit like them. And obviously, depending on your armor class, you get it to a different extent. But I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be kind of Nightmare Court-y. But yeah, it's really quite pretty. And that's what we're going to be running for the next chapter. Gix, the leader of the Durmand Priory, has given us our assignment, and I guess away we go. Remember, at this point in the timeline, this is where Kecht down below is talking about setting up like a military base for a dig, I think it was he was talking about. And there are various vaults and things we can look at there, but yeah, let's go deal with the script. Now, this is going to be kind of a funny video. So, if you remember, we found Mazdak in the tomb up here at the Provernic Crypt in Kryta, and there was this waypoint just nearby. So we're going to go back to this. This is the north of Gendaran Fields, and it's an area so north of Gendaran, not even Casey of the humans explored this area. And funnily enough, we're going to go much further even still. This is going to be a funny episode because on episode 2 of the series, I told you guys that it was unlikely we'd ever do a video purely out in the open world, and we would try and, you know, reduce that as much as possible. But the funny thing is, there is so much to see and explore, and quite an adventure to go on here to find the script in question, that we may just end up in that situation. There's someone's crying about centaurs already. So yeah, welcome guys to the Harathi hinterlands. Centaurs have overrun the hinterlands, violently ousting the local inhabitants. From here, the centaurs send raiding parties to neighboring areas. Now, Harathi is quite interesting in that for the launch game, it's kind of the highest level zone that existed for, like, raw human story. Now, you could say it's the highest level Crichton zone. That's not technically true. Game engine-wise, some of the places south of Lion's Arch, like the Bloodtide Coast, we've very briefly seen, they're technically, according to the game engine, called Kryta, but in lore, really, this is the highest level place that was in the release of the game. Since then, even more maps have been added. You can see there's a level 80 zone quite nearby, actually, but that's all, you know, later on stuff. That's not for when the game originally came out, and it'll be a while before any of the story takes us to there. So, yeah, really enjoy. This is Harathi, and this was my earliest point where the game kind of blew my mind as to what dynamic events and especially meta events could do, which I can't wait to talk to you all about. So we start off with this pretty interesting NPC here, Broil Crane, standing next to a poisoned plant. If we speak to Broil,
I don't know if I'm cut out for this.
He says, you'd think after 200 plus years of dealing with centaurs, we'd be used to their tactics. They're like fleas. We kill them, but they keep making more. And now they've got their sights on Shore Bluff. The Seraph are in a tough spot. And we can say I can help with the defenses, point me in the right direction. And here you'll notice that it actually throws a bit of dynamic event UI up for us that shows us to an event. So this happens quite often in the game. I'm not sure I've shown it off yet, though, where you have various NPCs that run around waving their arms quite often and saying, hey, speak to me. And they will mark on your map or your dynamic event log where an event is nearby. So now when we press, we can see that we're actually seeing that there is a big attack of centaurs going on at a camp just to the north. That's the Shore Bluff camp over there. This character here, Broil, though, is interesting all on his own. So I'm going to ignore and leave all those guys for dead, unless maybe some other players are there to defend them for now. And I'm going to go this way because I do want to give you guys a very cool piece of information about that character based out of a camp nearby. Off there in the distance, you can see, and this is really quite cool, we're in a different map to Gendaran now, which is where the Vigil Keep is, but that was the Vigil Keep you could see just over that cliff there, which is kind of fun. But yeah, this map is pretty much all about the Human-Centaur War. And it deals with centaurs attacking outposts, Seraph reclaiming those outposts, and sweeping across this enormous area of the world. And I mean a truly massive area of the world. Basically sweeping across the whole map to eventually take out the centaur leader, Modnir Ulgoth, who we've heard about in brief snippings before, in the very top end of the map. Now, the entire meta event I won't be able to show you here because we've got the script to deal with, but the whole map is kind of like a big war zone, and it's really quite beautiful, even though it's a level 50 zone, or even lower actually, it's more 35 to 45, isn't it? And the game goes all the way up to level 80. There in the distance, look at that, you can see Trebs firing. That's enemies literally firing Trebs to fire at outposts that are out there, potentially in the middle of dynamic events, and we players as well can get on siege and fire back as well. Not that that really means too much in the gameplay, but you can do it. Sometimes when you see these bolts, it means there's a player out there, and that's so cool for an MMO, I think. So what we got? Well, a little outpost here. There is a renowned heart here with Raquel Ardor, and she says, give us a hand setting traps, smashing stuff, you know, general filler stuff. We can say, what's Kane's story, though? And she says, Kane is a fighter, pure and simple. This is the guy we met just outside the camp. He's not someone you want to mess with. We just tried to keep him equipped and stay out of his way. And we say, well, who's the company that she mentioned? And she said, the company is a group of mercenaries that operate out of a camp near here. They sometimes work with Kane, though he usually prefers to run alone. The companions have it in for the centaurs, and they know their stuff. So there's various like cells and small factions, as well as the Seraph, fighting against the centaurs. So to the north here, there's a group called the Company, and they sometimes collaborate with Kane. That's not really too relevant. But over here, we've got a guy called Garen. He says, if you want to talk, you should talk to Broyle. He runs things around here, though he's probably out taking the fight to the centaurs again. Well, yeah, we did see he's quite far away. He said, we say, who is he? He says, well, he's the boss, and a good one at that. Being ex-Seraph, he knows his way around a battlefield. He's just a little bloodthirsty sometimes. He's got a personal vendetta against our four-legged friends. Ex-Seraph, so he doesn't like the Seraph? On the contrary, he complains about them sometimes, but he's still got a lot of respect for them. In fact, we work with the Seraph quite a bit. We say, what's his personal vendetta about? And they say, no one knows, but there are rumors. I've heard that the centaurs killed his family, but I've also heard that they kidnapped him and tortured him for weeks, and that's why he hates them. Regardless, he's got it out for them. And basically, all the little NPCs in this small camp will talk about him and, like, layer this story as to what exactly might be going on with him, which I think is really kind of cool. Here, by the way, as we've been on an adventure, you've noticed these many times, I may finally talk about them. There are diving goggles. So, one of the achievements in the game is to find all kinds of different places where you can jump into water. And sometimes you'll find diving goggles, which if you equip, you'll strip down to your bikini, which for us as a Sylvari basically means we're completely naked. And we put on our diving goggles and we jump. And as you jump in the air, you can flip and spin to do diving trick moves. So I'll show you how this looks. We can like do a forward flip into the water. And finding all of those gives you a reward, but there are like 50 of them all over the game. So it's just a fun thing. You will have seen, keen-eyed viewers will have seen those very gradually as the game's progressed, but I've never taken the time to talk about them. So there you go. I may as well now. Right, so that's it. I just wanted to go slightly to the right as we enter the map, just to show you guys that before we now go basically on an adventure pretty far through Harathi, all the way up to this corner here where the Skrit are. And if we get there in reasonable time, we will do the story up there as well with you today, guys. So, what's probably our best route? Well, we can check out that camp that got attacked a second ago. And I have a lot of cool things to talk about in terms of Necromancer as well today. One of them being, I still haven't shown you. If you remember, we got the Grand Master, Death Nova. Oh, here we go. We've been attacked by a wasp. Remember, Death Nova means when we kill our foes, we summon things out of them. So look, this guy, we got life force from one of these wasps, and we created a jagged horror out of the body. And in 15 seconds, we'll be able to create another out of another body. So yeah, these are the little creatures, and you can see down here I got some Flesh of the Master, despite the fact that I haven't used any of my utility skills. So these little guys are quite nice in that as they attack, they inflict bleeding. And remember, our life transfer does more damage if enemies are bleeding. Well, there you go. So, yeah, there's all these nice little things. It looks like the humans did manage to defend this place. Maybe some players were around. This is actually a reasonably good level up farm back at release. I used to stand here and kill the hordes of centaurs that would attack. But yeah, they defended with themselves. And as you can see, this player here is doing it already. You can actually get on these siege devices, like so, and you get various things. You get fire and you get shattering bolt. This kind of teaches players in the PvE world about some of the mechanics and things that they'll find in World versus World, which is a different format of Guild Wars 2, like a big open world / PvP style game. So yeah, you can actually fire these. We need enemies to actually target to use the ballistay on. But yeah, it's kind of fun, and the NPCs around will tell us about their efforts. They say we rent Shore Bluff Camp from the bloodied, twitching fingers of the Centaurs, but you know it's only a matter of time before they're on us again. Better be ready. And I cannot stress enough, if these people are not defended by players, they will lose, and the Centaurs will own this, which is why you see, like, Centaur structures all around here, and the Seraph will be pushed back. It tends to be that nowadays, because the game is quite well populated, and everyone's really good at the game now, everyone's like level 80, and we all do very well, you don't tend to see the Centaurs get much progress in these maps, but sometimes they do. We're going to drop down here. It might hurt us a little bit, but we're going to have to just suffer our way through it. But sometimes they do, and that's always kind of interesting to see. It's similar at Beetleton in Queensdale as well, in that similar stuff can happen.
Feisty.
Over here, oh, I almost missed this. Over here, we've got a little camp with a scout, so let's see what these Seraphs say. All sitting around on this beach. There's some wounded ones.
The war against the Centaurs continues, even here. We're pretty far from the main Seraph force, but we keep fighting. Kane is a one-man wrecking crew, and the companions know how to raise some dust, too.
There you go. So they're all talking about those same guys. It's kind of nice, actually. And they're teaching us about the hearts and the ways that we can assist. But everyone's kind of injured and wounded. Now, there's a really fun thing that Harathi does here. If we come up this way, I think there are events that Kane actually comes over to this area of the world, by the way. If we come up here past these whetstones and these crabs and things, and look at the map, you'll see that there's actually appears to be a road here that goes into something of a cave. And we haven't been in any caves for quite a while. Well, I guess we kind of have in the Shiver Peaks, but I mean, like, when I think of human areas. But anyway, there is no cave. When you come here, you'll notice that the road is just a dead end. It leads to nothing. And it's like, well, that's really strange. Harathi does this with the map quite often. And I wonder whether it was the devs were one day anticipating adding content to these areas and they didn't. But here, in this one in particular, it's not really a dead end, because if we very cleverly and carefully swim into the lake, you'll notice there's stuff going on. There's a sunken ship, first of all. Wouldn't this be a landlocked ship? Mind you, it could go down the rivers and then around DR. Actually, no, and then it could connect to the Northern Oceans via the Delta. That's kind of crazy to think about. But there's all these lost supplies which we can pick up. These are related to a heart nearby. I've got a bit of trivia for those as well. You'll see that they're called Divinity's Reach supplies when we pick them up. But over here, where you can see these refugees from the boat swimming, there is an underwater cave into a secret cove. So this road suggests there's a place, and there actually is. Look at this as we swim in as the light changes. And now when we come back out, you'll see we're at a place called Night Guard Beach. And what Night Guard Beach is a hidden area that was once well, we'll see from the NPCs. I don't know why I'm telling you this earlier, but check it out. There's loads of refugees. Seraph, they hunt for crabs here to feed themselves. Lieutenant Summers is a heart. She says, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Not only do we need to tend to the wounded, but we need to feed our people and maintain the camp. And we can give her supplies from the ship. My little bit of trivia for this is, you see how this is called Divinity's Reach supplies? When I first played the game, I was really excited by this because I thought I'd picked up an item in Harathi that I had to take to someone in Divinity's Reach, and there would be, like, quests that would go between maps, but it turns out it's just for this heart. So we can give her the supplies from the ship, and she asks us other various tasks, but doesn't give us too much information what's going on. But look, there's Quaggan here. Doo-doop. The problems of these Quaggans make Quaggan sad. So Quaggan will help until humans are safe. Ah, isn't that sweet? I thought your people didn't get involved in warfare, we say. She says, normally no, but Quaggan and friends choose to help. This makes Voronos angry. Quaggan hopes that the Voronos will forgive Quaggan, so Quaggan can sometime go home again. So Voronos is actually a Quaggan, like, little outpost in the waters near here. The way that they talk and the way they avoid pronouns and things is a bit strange for the Quaggan to interpret that. But yeah, basically he's saying he's exiled to come here and help with these humans. What a lovely Quaggan that is. Look, they got children refugees here. Several others. There's some Seraph.
Let's play a game.
Some kids over there who want to play a game. Edwina, what's going on? She's a really interesting NPC because this is one of the rare places where we can be a bit mean to someone in the game. So listen to this. It's hard to feel grateful to these stuffy, sour-faced soldiers when all they do is complain about us. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lose my home and have nowhere else to go. Sorry to inconvenience you all. Wow. So she's under their protection and they're a bit grumpy. And now she's being all like this. So we can say with dignity, you should respect this is a stressful time for them, or they are sort of saving your life. I'm going to say you should respect this is stressful for them. And she says, I don't recall asking you to lecture me, but I suppose you're right. They weren't counting on babysitting refugees. I guess everyone's a little tense. Still, no reason for you to be so preachy. If you don't want my opinion, don't complain at me. Boom. And then we talk to the hand because the face ain't listening and we leave. So the other option's not much better there either. She still doesn't take it very well. That's probably the better response I just gave you.
So we'd have someone to play with.
Oh, they want more kids to lose their homes and become refugees so they have people to play with. That's wonderful. But yeah, you can kind of see the tensions in the NPCs here. Are you out helping in the fight against the Centaurs? And we say, well, we do occasionally, and that's kind of true. That's good. I want to help too. I've decided I wanted to join the Seraph if they'll take me. After watching Centaurs murder my neighbours and burn down my house, suddenly being a farmer isn't enough anymore. Farmers are needed too, but good luck. I like this as well. You don't get this much in Guild Wars, that perspective of people who become angry and galvanised to join the forces. Most of the time, it's like you don't get that side of it. It looks like there's a dynamic event here as those guys go out on patrol or return from patrol. But here's Commander Keynes, and he kind of runs this place. He'll explain what's going on here. He says, I'm exhausted. This war with the Centaurs has been going on since before my great-grandfather was born. It's insane. The only reason I'm here is fighting is because if we don't fight back, then annihilate us. So you get a bit of perspective there. Listen how similar this is to the human Char Wars, right? What is this place? Friend, you've stumbled on the Seraph's best-kept secret in this neighborhood. This little camp is our staging area for forays into Centaur territory. Why are you... Oh, sorry, I accidentally clicked the wrong one there. Why are you hiding in a cave? We're being sneaky. It does you no good to assault the enemy unless you have a secure base to return when fate goes against you. In here, the Centaurs don't bother us because they can't find us. How do the refugees come into this? Well, they're trouble. I do feel bad for them. They've been driven out of their homes, after all, but this is supposed to be a hidden base with a bunch of civilians running around. It's hard to stay hidden. Okay, so that's got to be a challenge. So I understand a little, and what you guys can understand mechanically in this area of the world as well is that if the players don't defend any of the Seraph and the Centaurs push across the entire map, this will still be a bastion, like an outpost for them to stay like out here, you know, and we'll still get allied NPCs because it's like a hidden place underground. And so yeah, that's all really. You can spend a lot of time there, do the hearts. There's lots of cool random dialogue there, which I'm sure we'll get to in time. But we're going to keep going, and we're actually going to stay. We had a choice there. You might have seen another door a second ago. I think this looks gorgeous over there, right? We had a choice. We could have got above ground or underground moving through this map, and I was wondering how I wanted to take Caraflower through. I'm going to have her take the underground route, where we're being attacked by ooze and cave bats and things. In fact, let's summon our minions and blow these guys up, shall we? Here we go. You're going to regret attacking me. And, in fact, I will show you guys as well, maybe, another trait line, because now that we are helping the lesser races, we have hit level 50, which means Caraflower can have 2 specializations at once. And once again, we are going to continue building. If this bat attacks us, we'll go for it again. We are going to continue building up, getting ready for a serious challenge that is on the horizon and growing increasingly closer. And that is another dungeon of the game. So, let's go to training. I'm going to keep us on minions for now. I know that there's lots of other things. There's the spectral, ghostly style of gameplay. There's the wells. There's the corruptions. There's loads to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend in blood magic now. So blood magic is all about life steal. And we're going to go... I can't remember which one we really want. Probably up to vampiric rituals. So we'll pick up blood. We'll go to our build and we will assign blood. So we're now death and blood. And the minors are that now the first one is whenever we dodge, we leave a mark of blood. So I'll show you guys that first, and we'll just go steadily through this as we explore Harathi, because really there's no rush right now. There's a juvenile cave spider down here that we could grab. Some deer. We can't really demonstrate. Actually, we can. If I kill the deer, I'll go in combat. Oh, no, I won't go in combat because it dies so quickly. Oh, well, we'll deal with that in a second. So, yeah, we come out to this giant chamber, still underground. The sky's over there. There's a bit of sky over there. You find these 2 cool NPCs. I like these guys. So here is Romancing Seraphette and the Romancing Bandito. Okay. So here we'll speak to the Seraphette. She says, Bandito, my sweet, sweet Bandito. You're the light of my life. If only I weren't duty-bound to kill and or capture you on sight. How did you two meet, we ask? On the battlefield. It was love at first sight. Our 2 forces met 35 more times before I could no longer stand to fight him. 35 times touching. What else does she say? What would your commanding officer say if he found you out here? I like this because Caraflower's innocent enough to not really care. If it was Casey that was exploring here among his kinsmen, he might have more sincere opinion. But Caraflower's fine with this. He would probably say, it's time to be realistic, Seraphet. You don't even know his real name. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. You don't know his name? And here's the bandito. Oh, pretty Seraphet. Sweet as a rose. When I'm with you, all my troubles with local and federal law enforcement seem to fade away. You know this can't work, right? You're a bandit. You rob people. I'd gladly give up both my life with my sworn blood brothers and my fight against the establishment and the idealistic monarchs running our nation into the ground in order to be with my pretty Seraphet. I guess that makes it better. So here, by the way, you get a little bit of... This is joke dialogue, but here, listen. Casey ran into this a bit. You'd think the bandits were just like mindless, living day to day, you know, just being ruthless brigands looking out for themselves. But here we have a bandit talking about being against the monarchy. Oh, it seems like they really do have another agenda, right, guys? Over here, behind the waterfall, there is a hero challenge. We may as well grab it. We don't get these enough. Hidden Falls. This cool, quiet place has an otherworldly feel to it. Subtle traces of magical energy converge in the shadows behind the falls. Many have come here seeking serenity. We can communicate with it. Just commune with this secret place of power. And we can grab this before heading through here. Now, this is a tunnel that might look a little bit empty and like there's not much going on. But as I've mentioned a few times before when we've been out in open world, a lot of these places of the game are areas that guilds come together. So if you start playing Guild Wars 2, you get a guild of friends. You can sometimes be assigned to missions as a guild to explore and do fun things around the world. And there's a race that takes place all around here, winding around these caverns, jumping on all these various bits of scaffolding and whatnot. So, you know, there's nearly always content there, even if it's not immediately apparent. So here we go, the Mark of Blood. If I dodge now... I inflict... Here you go. I drop the Mark of Blood at my feet. I'm not running Staff. This is the Staff 2. So what does that do? That bleeds our opponents, and that splashes regeneration on myself and all my minions. So it's really good synergy with, you know, with a minion monster build, really, because I can just dodge at any time and heal all my guys up. Did you see they all just glowed blue there and we heard the sound effects? Well, that's how that works. So we can do that and then combo it with other things. So yeah, let's take these bandits out. Dangerous people. The second minor for blood magic is called Vampiric. So, we siphon health whenever we hit a foe with anything. Our minions also siphon health whenever they hit a foe with anything, and they give it to us. So, this is even strong. So now our minions do their regular damage and extra vampirism damage. So if I just attack this, if you look here, look at all the white numbers that are coming out constantly, even with just a few attacks. Basically what's happening there is they have their regular damage and then they have the lifesteal that goes on that as well. That all becomes health for me. That's not to mention the fact that the Blood Fiend does that already. So the Blood Fiend does that double now. Everything does that. Even our little Jagged Horrors do that. So we just get all these extra little packets of damage. And you can't see right now because these bandits aren't really hurting us. But if I ever get hit, my health goes up really quickly without even having to really use any skills. Then I can combo it with stuff like the Locust Swarm. So I'm like doing lots of vampirism all the time. My dagger autos do vampirism just on their own. So there's just as well as the life force we get. And all of a sudden you can see how Caraflower has very quickly, probably of everything you've seen in the game so far on this series, Caraflower is now the hardest to kill. Seriously. Because she just has that much. Like, you've got to kill everything with her and then finally get through her and then all of her shroud and then she will die. She is that brutal. And every second of that, she's regenerating it all. So, yeah. Anyway, all the way over here, we find another pretty little place. This is the Mountain Root Lair. There's lots of little graves here. Drew Crinsley defied everything until the end, never accepted his fate. Fen, the son of Fen. Fen we'll actually meet in a second, so that's a weird grave, isn't it? We'll learn about that in a second. Commander Ian Shaw, a brave soldier, was never known. Such an accepting heart will never be seen again. Jimmy McMillan, to his comrades, a friend, to all else, an amazing chef. Jason Scott, a fighter to the end. He made the impossible possible. I don't know why, but I always really like reading. Here you go. Look, the Fen event is going on. Look, Fen. Here you go. So protect Fen as he makes his way into the Bone Rattler Caverns. I don't know why, but I really enjoy finding these graves in the game. They always feel so somber and nicely detailed. So this is a giant, guys. Look, and he's very small, but he's a giant. He says, I don't like being small. How do you do it all the time? I can't even hold my own against these creatures. And the potion that makes them all think I'm tasty. The part of the Shrink Shroom potion's effects can be annoying. So this is a dynamic event other players have triggered as they run around on their mounts and whatnot. So basically, he's a giant. We haven't really met many giants in the game. Oh, look, it's a giant grub. But he's drank a potion in earlier story that shrunk him down to be really small. And what that means is now he can come in. And the reason he's done that is because he couldn't fit into the cave before. He's too big for the cave. Giants are genuinely really big in Guild Wars. So it's kind of funny that the first time we find one in this series, he's a little one. But he misses his son, basically. And we'll see what happens when he gets up to the grave. Let's watch and find out, shall we?
We made it! Thank you, my friend! I can take care of myself from here on out. Again, my friends. It's been too long. The world's become a darker place since you've been gone. Too much so to tell. The cave, at least, is still much the same as you remember. Well, your saplings have gotten a little bigger, I suppose.
So there you go, and he becomes a merchant. He says, past events help me shape who we are today. Brave adventurers like you help me remember my past without having to relive it. We say, do you have something to share? And he sells us rocks, which require level 22. It's actually kind of a cool idea to buy those rocks, and then maybe you could get some break bar damage or something done. God, my voice is going, guys. The reason, if you guys don't know why my voice is going a little bit, is over this weekend, I streamed for like 18 hours or something, and we did a challenge playing the game where we beat it without using any skills, and it was really fun. At Guild Wars 2, we spent a long time playing it, but I guess that's now ruined my throat as I wake up today to play with you guys a little bit more. Here you find another grave, a particularly sad one. Here lies Elise. Her passing came as a surprise to all, including her incompetent doctor. And I believe that there's an event to do with that one as well. In fact, you can return there later on at the end of the game when you're crafting legendary weapons, and you can kneel at it and do all kinds of fun stuff. There's a lot of that there here in Harathi, which we will find soon enough. But yeah, so there you go. That's the caves at the south of Harathi. That takes us across at least one branch. And now we finally get back outside, having avoided a lot of the Centaur-human war, and we can start moving north. The Skrit are out there somewhere. It's just a hell of an adventure to get to them.
What's here?
But we do have a very cool lore-heavy place here now. We've just unlocked the ruins of Dimitra at the far side of these caves. This is a real, like, quite hidden corner, honestly, of Harathi. But a really exciting one for any Guild Wars 1 players. Back during Guild Wars 1, they had these bonus missions that you could pay for called the Bonus Mission Pack. And one of them had a story here where you played as a character called Saul D'Alessio in his defense of Kryta against the Char. Yes, indeed, 250 years ago, the Char attacked Kryta. And the only reason they never captured it, and the only reason the war stayed here, was because of what happened here at Dimitra, with Saul D'Alessio taking an elite squad through. I won't go into that whole story because that's really a Guild Wars 1 story. But here, 250 years later, when Saul and his White Mantle cultists have left, it's kind of just a ruin. But there is a Sylvari here. Look, we're not the only Sylvari this far north. So it's Explorer Ket. And she says, I'm researching human religions. Everything was going fine until a little while ago when ghosts started attacking me. And we say, what can I do to help around here? And she says, well, when the spirits turn hostile, sometimes they need to be put down in order for them to find rest. If you find any restless spirits, make sure they won't harm anyone. Okay, so we can help the spirits find peace. She says the ruins are filled with the tombs and remains of an ancient people. If you find any relics or tablets from deep inside the crypt containing their history, please bring them to me. Find relics? Check. And greedy treasure hunters occasionally raid the area trying to find something that they can make a profit from. Their blatant disregard for my research is quite rude. Please stop their illegal activities. Okay, so, We could say, any idea why everything turned violent here? And she says, not really. They've taken over the whole crypt except for a very small section near a statue of Dwayna. Remember, that's one of the human gods, the leader of the human gods, apparently within the crypt. There must be some reason why the ghosts have stayed away from there. Well, we can go experiment and look at that, guys. What's a Sylvari doing this far north? It's good to see you, brother or sister. Humans have had such a turbulent history when it comes to their religions. It fascinates me. This land is filled with mementos that tell the tale of these poor, misguided humans. Whose crypt is this, we ask? And she says, I've established that this tomb once housed the remains of a human religious leader named Saul D'Alessio of the White Mantle sect. The body's no longer here, though. That might explain why the ghosts are so angry. Was it D'Alessio's ghost that attacked you, we ask? And she says, no, it was clearly one of his followers or perhaps a friend. He kept asking me if I was one of the true believers. Right, so, the one thing to know about that Saul D'Alessio story is that in the original game, that mission here at Dimitra, it didn't end with Saul D'Alessio dying. I'm gonna grab this waypoint here. It didn't end with Saul D'Alessio dying. This player here is just wanting to party because he's seen we're hanging around near him. I'm unfortunately going to have to decline. It didn't end with him just dying. It ended up with him disappearing, being stolen away by the Masat, one of the ancient races that he thought were gods, but they were malicious and they stole him away. So that was the last we saw in Guild Wars 1. And now Guild Wars 2 players come here just as you're watching Carraflowers, and we realise, wait, what? There's a tomb for Saul? But I thought Saul went missing. So how does he have a tomb? When did he die? So it's very exciting to come and explore here because it's like, what answers will we find about how Saul died? Did he return in the 250 years? Well, we can see. We can see what the White Mantle did. As you come in, there's torches you can light. There's all kinds of stuff for the heart. But over here, there is a tomb. Unfortunately, okay, so normally when you come to this, it's shut. And when you interact with it, it says this is the tomb to Saul D'Alessio. But now it's open. And it says, here lies the empty tomb of Saul. The markings on the sides of it are ornate but worn with time. And so what we realise here, unfortunately other players have come along and sort of broken it a little bit because they've done it first. Basically what's happened here is we realise this is a fake tomb. This character, Saul D'Alessio, who went missing in Guild Wars 1, the people who loved him and followed him built a fake tomb for him. They told their followers that he'd been killed by the Char and built this fake tomb and acted like it was real, but in fact he's been missing and he's still missing. It's just his cultist followers never let everyone else in on that fact. They didn't want their people to realise, which is kind of cool. Here you find the Dwayna room. It's kind of hidden off on the side. It's beautiful here. We can interact with the statue. And it says, before you lies a battered statue of Dwayna. The elements have not been kind to her. When we examine the area, it says there are indentations in the ground before the statue. It appears to have been made by people who spent a great deal of time kneeling here. So, despite the fact this is a White Mantle crypt, the White Mantle didn't believe in the traditional gods. They believed in the Masat instead, who betrayed them and stole Saul, and then they hid it all. This is for the human gods, but there's a human statue here, which is a regular statue here for the human gods that the White Mantle didn't believe in. It suggests that we can kneel in front of it, which also was a thing in Guild Wars 1. I typed too many E's there. So we can kneel and look at this. Ooh, an emissary of Dwayna appears, and she says, "Fear not, mortal. I am not here to harm you." It's an emissary of one of the gods. She's a ghost, it seems. And we ask her, why do you haunt this place? And she says, I was a follower of Dwayna during my life, and I protect her children, even in death. I do not haunt this place. Rather, I warn those who trespass here of an evil that inhabits this crypt. Why are the spirits here agitated, we say? And she says, centuries ago, a devout follower of Saul D'Alessio pledged to guard this tomb. This devout follower protected the crypt to his last breath, allowing only those he deemed worthy to enter. The rest, he slayed. So listen, guys. The White Mantle believe in the Masat as their gods. The Masat steal their leader and betray them. The White Mantle hide that fact, build a fake tomb, and this dude defends it, stopping anyone really from entering it, slaying the rest. I don't understand. How is this relevant, we ask? And she says, even in death, this spirit continues to guard his master's tomb ever so faithfully. However, one day he discovered that the tomb was empty, and in his anger, he enraged the spirits here to enact vengeance upon the living. Wow. So how do I stop this threat? The Protector kept his name hidden in shame, in failure. Speak his name to bring him forth into this world, but be wary, for his anger knows no bounds. Who is this ghost, we ask? And she says, approach Saul D'Alessio's tomb with caution and summon the foul white mantle Confessor who stood guard over his priest and master. His name is Tenad the Faithful. So a Confessor is like the ultimate big dog leader of the White Mantle. There are very few Confessors. They're all real badasses. And this is a story about a Confessor that existed between the two games. So how cool is that? I understand, we say. She says his name is elusive and will pass from your mind shortly if you do not act quickly. If you forget, return and I'll tell you again. So what the game's actually done now is because we spoke to her for the next X number of time, I don't know how long it is, but it's actually unlocked a hidden dialogue option over at the tomb, which now we can say, come forth and face me, Tenad the Faithful.
Intruders! Dear tread where Master D'Alessio once lay.
And there he is, and we can kill him, and he's like a mad ghost, and he doesn't realise what's going on. Now, I believe what actually should happen is that the tomb should be closed, and then you speak to the ghost of Dwayna.
I can't fail. Not again. I will return and fulfill my duty.
So what should happen is I think that the tomb should be closed. Then you do this hidden thing by kneeling at the statue, and then it reveals, oh, it's open, and the ghost attacks you. We got a level up from that. That's cool. So that's the kind of really cool hidden little thing that you can find sometimes in Tyria if you take your time with it. Most players at this point might just be turning on all the torches and leaving, but if you really stop, you smell, you read the text, you can find all kinds of fun things. And so yeah, that's one of my favorite places in Harathi, and the mystery goes on. What happened to Saul D'Alessio, this man from 250 years ago? It's not a super important story, but it will be honored and respected later in the game when it will become a raid. So try to remember this, because yeah, Tenad the Faithful, all of that will be relevant as like a side story later on. Obviously not related to Zaitan. The ghosts you see here as well, just to be clear, these ghosts aren't like to do with a faux fire or to do with anything that happened in Ascalon. They're just, you know, ghosts based off of that. Because ghosts can exist in other ways. It's kind of scary, actually. We spent all day in the crypts, and now the sun has dropped. So, we are getting closer. There's still a few more outposts and things I want to show you. There is a pretty nice hidden place. My voice is getting so bad. I just want you guys to know, if you can hear it. My throat doesn't hurt, but it's just falling away. We might have to stop recording, but damn it, I got to keep going. We got so much story and things to get through. We can't stop here. We got to get to the script before my voice completely goes. Right, so, yeah, check it out. Right near, and this is another sneaky little hint, right near this holy Dimitra, where the White Mantle once stood and did all sorts, we can actually find a selection of bandits hanging out. And you might think that's a coincidence, and it may indeed be, but something to think about. Here you find the symbol of the bandits. We can kick open this door by pressing F, or just open it, I guess. And there's a nice little cabbage patch here. This door here suggests that there's more on the inside, and even that leads underneath the tomb. But we've never been able to go in there. As far as I know, I don't think there's any story or anything that's never been openable so far in Guild Wars 2. Maybe one day they'll do a patch where we can go in there, but for now it's just like a hidden little cabbage place that I like about Harathi. Harathi's got so many cool hidden things like this that, you know, most players, I think if you ask them about Harathi, they'll think it's kind of a dead, empty map with not much going on, because they'll just do the hearts and they'll just stick with the meta, which largely involves slaying hordes and hordes and hordes of centaurs, but you do have these things around. You know, all we've really explored so far is this. But we've done quite well. By the way, we were in an underground tunnel under actual overground explorable stuff there earlier. I really wanted to show that off. I've got a note here. I wanted to show that off when I was recording, but I forgot, I guess. So, oh well. But yeah, check it out. There's another little outpost. More events can trigger here. It looks like a player's come here and dropped a ton of guild supplies. So there's a fireworks launcher. This comes from a player. There's a guild keg, which we can drink from, and we can get a little bit drunk. You see, we have the drunk effect on us. There's an experience banner that the guild's dropped. So if I interact with it, it says, please enjoy this complimentary service of our guild. So the guild Axis gave this to me. And I now have a buff that gives me more experience. So thank you very much to Axis. And they've dropped a banquet table. This is the Axis guild logo. And we can interact with it. And we can even boost all of our attributes. +2 to all of our attributes is nothing. Like, this is the craziest buff in the game, in that it's so old and it needs like a tune-up. But yeah, for 10 minutes, Cariflower is slightly stronger. But But check it out. Yeah, there's a little camp. I believe there's a scout here.
Unit's been freed. The Spider Queen still has Captain Marshall.
So some kind of Spider Queen is attacking them. I don't know how Sandra's doing it, but most of the captive troops haven't returned. Have returned. We're just missing our captain. If you're brave enough, you should check in with her. So that's to do with an event where spiders are attacking people in the forest.
I'll do my best.
You're looking for a place to rest. This isn't the best spot. Our camp here probably looks comfortable to a traveler, but I'd keep moving if I were you. Why? Well, we're not exactly a fort. We're just a camp, and a temporary one at that. If bandits or centaurs find us, we'd be a smear on the ground. We've lost most of our troops already. Why stick around then? Firstly, we're recovering. We've got wounded here. Secondly, we've got orders. We'll need approval to abandon our camp. Thirdly, any survivors who make it to this rally point should have someone to meet them. So these guys have to stay out here in a risky place. You can really see how much this... I mean, here we're in the front lines. We're seeing it properly now. This is how much the Seraph are struggling, you know. And it's not easy in their war. So there is quite a bit here. I want to keep going for the script. I swear there's a scout here. Yeah, there is. For some reason, the scout isn't marked on the world map, which is really strange. But there is. Seraph soldier Georgina. She'll tell us a little bit more about where we just were.
A member of the Durmand Priory, named Ket, came through here on her way to the ruins of Dimitra. No one has heard from her in a while. It could mean she's just busy with her work, or it could mean she's in trouble. If you have the time, could you go check on her?
They say Dimitra, but come on, guys. Dimitra sounds so much cooler, doesn't it? We talk about my pronunciation of stuff on this show all the time, but come on. Dimitra sounds so amazing. Listen, I don't care how long after this video came out you're watching this. I don't care. It could be 2019, 20, 21, 22. I don't care. Type in the comments right now and tell me which sounds better, Dimitra or Dimitra. I want, for the rest of my existence on YouTube, to see random comments appearing on this video about the pronunciation. It's totally Dimitra. I refuse, ArenaNet and Seraph. I refuse. I will use my pronunciation instead. All right, okay, so we'll move up. Some more deadly Centaur camps over there on the right. We're looking at the meta. It says the Seraph control Kingsgate camp, but the last Centaur leader is rallying his forces for last stand. So that's really far away, actually. But yeah, we're getting to another outpost. Here I want to show you our last miner. This is called Last Rites. So as long as we are not in downstate, any allies near us who are in downstate won't bleed out. Also, we get another perk. There's so many double perks here in Necro, right? Our healing power is increased based on our current health. So the more health we are, the more healing power stat we have. The higher healing power stat we have, the more lifesteal we do, the more we heal with our the more we heal with our Mark of Blood on dodge, and so on. So the healthier we are, the tankier we are. This thing about downstate, you might not really know very much of because we spent so little time in downstate, but remember, when our health goes to 0, we don't die, we fall on the floor and we get to fight for survival, and we're like bleeding out, we're going to die after X number of time. And so this trait saves other people like that in that situation near us. Because we're just, we're so good with blood. So yeah, there you go. And that's really just the passives that we get from being blood. I'll use my Warhorn there to stop him from blocking and daze him. Or I tried, but it didn't seem to work then. And yeah, we'll take out some Centaurs who are attacking this place. And we can move on in to this Seraph Outpost. Getting pretty close now, guys. This is a really big place as well. With lots to do and see. We probably won't get it all. It'll be a bit like when we were in Brisbane, but we'll see what the humans are all about. So, Corporal Jensen. Some people were talking over there. What did you say, Jensen?
There's a constant battle being waged at the front, and the Centaur's nearest base is a fortress. Beyond that, we may just have a hope of turning this tide.
Okay, she doesn't say too much, but what she does there is she directs us to a heart and the start of the meta, really. That's one of the earliest outposts that you want to fight back the Centaurs and then keep pushing them through. So those guys are talking about some stuff. Now, what's fun about this place? Well, this is actually not too bad. This place. Well, let's get the waypoint here. This is known as Seraph's Landing, and it's actually pretty close to the city. There's a map between the city and here. So it's a bit remote, but it's pretty close to the city, and it's not too bad. You do actually find that supplies come from the city sailing on boats all the way through. And if you look at the right time, it's very rare. But if you look out of the lake near them, you can see little sailing boats coming in and providing supplies to the fishermen and so on. Which is one of the coolest touches. It's very rare you see like moving boats and stuff in the game, but you do here.
Stay alone. He's probably too busy drinking and gambling and flirting.
I've said it before. The guy is scum.
At least I've got something to fight for, right? I've got to live long enough to get back home and leave him.
Wow, is that her boyfriend back home in the city? That's kind of funny. So bartender Bill here. Welcome to the Fall, the official drinking establishment of the Seraph here in Seraph's Landing. Why is your bar called the Fall? Remember, it's not the fall that will kill you, but the landing. Get it? I'm afraid so. I actually really like that. I think that's a clever way of thinking about what these people would do in this town. Some of your customers seem to be causing a ruckus outside. What my patrons do after they leave my establishment is my concern. It's not my concern, sorry. It's the Seraph's job to police their brethren who get a bit too tipsy. That's kind of a nice sign that they got so many people become Seraph because they need so many forces. You know, that the humans are dwindling. They can't pick and choose the best people, right? We don't get many tourists up here, so I take it you've come to help us take down some centaurs, is that right? It sure is. I mean, we're kind of lying there. Great, this is the place to do it. You're standing in the Seraph's base for fighting the centaurs in their own territory. This is where the magic happens. Magic? What magic? Well, you know, the killing. It's sort of sad, really, but the humans and centaurs just don't mesh, and we can't let them continue to be a threat to Kryta's people, so we fight. I love the idea of like a Guild Wars 3 where the centaurs are playable and like they're going through a thing like the Char were or something, but now the Char are the antagonists again or something. That'd be so cool. I mean, you can hear it as we go through this adventure. You hear the people, the way they talk about the Char, about how scary and bestial they are. It's kind of fantastic. There really are a lot of NPCs and little places. There's a vista if we do some climbing around and go up there. Seraph Archer Cartwell.
How can I assist you?
The centaurs think they can break us, but we're not breakable. Humans have been through all sorts of hardships, but we survive. We've dug our heels in here, and we don't aim to let it go. You're pretty confident, aren't you? You'd better believe it. I've been fighting centaurs for years. I'm not afraid of them anymore. Every one of my comrades they murder just adds fuel to the fire, and they'll regret it. Don't they have you pretty much surrounded here, though? Sure they do. Does that worry me? No. This here is the headquarters for the Seraph. They don't know what they're messing with. Here's a captain. This, okay, a captain is no small thing. A captain is like the same rank that Logan is. Logan is a captain of Divinity's Reach, which like makes him the best of the captains, but still. He says, Seraph's Landing is the base for all our operations here in the Highlands. You'll find no better soldiers anywhere in the Queen's army. It's very likely, realistically, that Logan knows this man and will have spoken to this man before. We say, this fort seems to be lively. Now that the dock at Lake Doric has been repaired, we'll be able to reinforce our position here. We can finally make more focused efforts at driving the centaurs back. When does the next assault begin, we ask? He says, well, there's usually some sort of mission leaving every 10 minutes or so. Galen the Gossip knows everything about anything currently in the works. Good thing the centaurs don't have him on their peril. So there, cool bit of trivia. He just mentioned a place called Lake Doric. When ArenaNet were making Guild Wars 2, they had lots of ideas for different maps and places that we'd be able to explore in the game. One of them was a map that was going to be north of Divinity's Reach and kind of wrap around Divinity's Reach like this. It was going to be a map called Lake Doric. But, and we, by data mining and being very shrewd as members of the community, we've been able to see what it looks like, but it never got very far in development and it was cut for the eventual release of the game, since they had so many other maps they were adding instead. And so for many years, Lake Doric was a place in lore that we could never actually explore. That was until last year when they added this map, a level 80 map called Lake Doric. We're not going to go there for a long time, but that's kind of the story of Lake Doric, and that was one of the very rare hints at it. Here's Hank. I'm so tired I can barely keep my eyes open. These stinking bandits have me running around like a chicken with his head cut off. It seems like they're endless. Are they a major problem? Well, we use these rivers to move supplies and troops in from Divinity's Reach. The bandits hang out by the dock, stealing supplies and causing trouble for the ships. Yeah, I'd call that a major problem. You can see how the second we start... Oh, look, there's an event here. It looks like this Seraph Sergeant Dungeon has challenged this other player to a fight. To see who is better. That's actually an event here, and this player's doing it. So we could just sit and watch and see how he does. Looks like the player's doing all right. Oh, there's another guy here as well. Okay, they're all just going to come flocking. That's what Guild Wars 2 is like. The second an event triggers, just players appear out of nowhere.
Well fought. With allies like you, we'll push those centaurs all the way to the gates of the...
That's cool dialogue. That's really cool dialogue. So, yeah, I mean, the second it starts dealing with the humans again, you realize, like, these people don't have time to think about the dragons. It's a good thing the orders exist, because...
50 more repetitions, men. Pace your endurance.
Humans have got so much to do. That guy called Rod won't speak to us. One of my favorite bits of dialogue in the whole game, and it's really silly, is over here. If you jump sneaky around here and go over this balcony, you'll see we get to this balcony, but this door you can't open. The only way into the balcony is doing that weird jump there. But there's an NPC with dialogue. And she says, you should be more careful jumping around like that. You could hurt yourself. Or anyone you happen to jump on. I'm an experienced jumper, we say. Like, that's cool. I like little moments like that. There's a few fun things like that. There's another house. I mean, you guys wouldn't believe the amount of interiors and places you can go to. Like, down here. No. We were already in there. Where's the... There's like a whole house we can go to. There's a cave.
I meant 100.
There's a house with like a woman admiring art. And it's like official concept art, but she's talking about the heroic pose that the man strikes. Maybe it's this over here. Yeah, it's over here, I think, maybe. Is she upset? Here you go. Look. So there's some concept art on the wall. And she says, I could stand here staring at the tapestry all day. Never before ever seen such heroism encapsulated so well, or in such a high thread count. It's a pretty good drawing, we say. She says, oh, the gods test my patience. This isn't just some drawing, it's a masterpiece. Do you see the heroic pose? The unfurling landscape? I hope I might someday be as heroic as the warrior depicted. Excuse me while I save the world and hopefully get my own tapestry. And I mean, you can go downstairs into the basement there, see more people. Meal for the Seraph captain there. I think that's it though. You guys are going to be getting bored of all the stuff here. I just want to take the time, at least once or twice in the series, to show you, I mean, we could speak to those people over there, the kind of detail that goes into just the smallest little sections of some of these maps. And Seraph Landing is one of the coolest ones for me. I didn't even go to the fishing area. So let's cross over this. We now are at Arca Lake. Over there, you'll see that there is an NPC on a boat. Well, you actually can't see the NPC just yet. Let's, we've got to be careful because these ruins, there's some centaurs here that get trebbed and sieged by these Seraph artillery. So over there, that villager. If you speak to this villager at this point in the story, they won't really say anything. They'll just say, hello, you're on my boat, cool. But way later in the story, if we speak to that villager, we can actually use them to get in behind that wall and along that river towards the map that's over here. So that's pretty cool, I think. And that was another update they did quite recently. There's another hero challenge nearby, so let's grab that. Just want to slip past these centaurs. Oh, look, there's some Seraph that were attacking them here as well. Silver ore that we could mine out. Here you can see some centaurs above us. We can't really climb up there, but if you look on the distance, there's tons charging around. That's a place you explore in one of the other maps. Years of conflict and warfare have ravaged this land, unleashing a chaotic, primal energy from deep within the ground. The air hisses with power. We can grab that. That hero point might help us a little bit more as a blood mage. And, yeah, you guys, we're really close. The Skrit are just slightly to the north here. Skrit hiding amidst all of this.
You are easy.
So, yeah, I mean, I still didn't... my other thing that I wanted to show off here today really was the Dagger Offhand. So we'll do that now. Dagger Offhand, while Dagger Main Hand is flat damage, and it's all about, you know, stealing life and stuff, Dagger Offhand's a bit different. So, first of all, the skill 5... this player's killing this Drake. Fine. The skill 5 is 900 range. Look at the range we get on that. It's really big. And we can cast it. And what it actually descends is this dark, nasty thing that puts bleed and weakness out. So it's on a really long cooldown. But really, this is a more condition damage-oriented thing. And Necros are really good at that. It corrupts one condition, one boon into a condition. And it also inflicts lots of conditions. The same is for the 4. The 4 takes conditions that are on us and puts them on enemies while blinding them at the same time. And also at a really long range. So, playing a Dagger Necro doesn't necessarily always make that much sense. Like, the 5 can give us the bleed to improve our life siphon and stuff. But really... this is more for a different kind of necromancer altogether. So it's not always that just doubling up on the same... most classes, that's true. Like Axe Warrior, if you remember. All these, they kind of complement one another. But on necromancer, that's not necessarily true. I mean, they are good together. But this is more like a utility and condition damage thing instead of life-stealy flat damagey thing, which the dagger is. Woo! So there you go, guys. I said it would happen, and it did. I mean, how long's this video been? All open world. Caraflower's adventure through Harathi. The tiniest little bit of Harathi. The vast majority of the map we still haven't seen. But up here, in the corner, is the feral dens and a door. This door, the only players that can ever go through this door or see what's behind it are people who choose to help out the Skrit. So here we are with Caraflower. And we'll join Siren on a new adventure starting tomorrow.
Another underground race. I'll never get that.
I got a letter from my nephew a few weeks ago, saying how proud he was of his uncle, the soldier. Then he asked me if I'd driven away all the centaurs yet.
Oh, not from Lion's Arch, is he? What did you say?
Well, I tried to explain that the Lion Guard is not the Seraph, and that we're not part of that war. Seems he didn't take it well. My sister just wrote to tell me he told all of his playmates that I'm not a real soldier.
Sorry to hear that, friend. He'll come around.